A new study is being conducted to explain why redheads seem to experience pain differently. Because they're all witches? Leto climbed to the top of the Empire State Building to promote his band 30 Seconds to Mars. The way the promotion works is if we buy enough albums, he'll jump.
The FAA revealed that Donald Trump's Boeing 757 clipped a parked plane when it landed in Florida. But the good news is Donald Trump flies around in a Boeing, so... Press Secretary Jen Psaki is reportedly leaving the White House this spring to join MSNBC. Damn, she's still at work and already has her next job lined up. That's as crazy as some of the sketches on season 2 of That Damn Michael Che this summer on HBO Max.
President Biden marked the end of his first year in office with a 2-hour press conference, because that's how long it took to list everything that's gone wrong. It was actually the longest presidential press conference in history. But as I have been told many times before, just because you went for a long time doesn't mean you did a good job. Tom Brady revealed that he has regrets about last week's Netflix roast, saying he didn't like the way it affected his kids. But that isn't stopping him from performing in tomorrow night's Netflix roast of Tom Brady's kids.
Israeli officials are reportedly furious after the U.S. withheld a shipment of weapons. But yes, sometimes people get angry at their intervention. All right, that was... President Biden on Tuesday issued a call to fight hate against anti-Semitism, saying there is no place for it in America. But on the other hand, Collins Country Club.
Leaked excerpt from her upcoming memoir, Britney Spears said she got pregnant while she was dating Justin Timberlake, because back then, even their condoms were denim.
A number of sports bars around the country are promising to only show women's basketball games during March Madness. The bars are known collectively as the empty ones.
MAGA insiders are saying that Noam, seen here wearing the hair of that dog, now has zero chance of being Trump's running mate. But I don't know, something tells me Trump would fully support killing disobedient pets.
I like it.
So dumb. This year marks the first time since 2009 that a Marvel movie has not kicked off the summer movie season, which better be a one-time thing because a lot of people rely on Marvel movies to pay for the fairies they bought.
Monday, Donald Trump testified under oath in his civil fraud trial, though technically he was never sworn in because the Bibles kept bursting into flames. You really wrote these yourself?
Yeah.
Netflix's top new show is Ripley, featuring an eerie, unsettling performance by actor Andrew Scott. Critics say it's the hardest thing to watch on Netflix since Michael Che's special Shame the Devil. In a new interview, Donald Trump says that he wanted to join the January 6th march on the Capitol, but that the Secret Service wouldn't allow it, also keeping him from storming the Capitol. The Florida Supreme Court has allowed the state's 6-week abortion ban to take effect. So now Florida's only remaining method for ending a pregnancy is roller coasters. This week, Donald Trump said that he supports abortion laws being decided by the states instead of the federal government. But why stop there? Why not go even smaller and leave it up to the counties or the city? Or even better, take the government out of it completely and leave it the choice about what women can do with their bodies to the person who knows what they could do with them the best, their husbands. A Washington, D.C. art school is postponing renaming its theater after alumni Dave Chappelle following his Netflix special controversy. Well, of course, because God forbid you should name a building after someone problematic in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, my old high school insists on keeping the Michael Che sucks butt bathroom stall.
Dinner orgy.
You can't do that.
Picture.
Can't do that.
Yeah. Picture really paints a picture. Health officials in Washington, D.C. confirmed that a fox that bit a congressman near the Capitol had rabies. Officials suspect the fox contracted rabies when it was bitten by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Dunkin' has announced a new beverage called the Shamrock Macchiato, which combines espresso, vanilla, and Irish cream. It's the festive, sugary drink that will have you saying top o' the morning and losing the bottom o' your leg. And yesterday on Truth Social, Trump posted a courtroom sketch of him sitting next to Jesus. Because if there's one guy whose trial famously ended well, it's Jesus. Seen here as drawn by the creator of Kathy, was accused by Trump's lawyers of lying about their affair for profit, which would make her the only person to do business with Trump and make money. It's also been implied that Stormy Daniels got into bed with Trump and let him do whatever he wanted just to advance her career. You know, like every Republican. As all of you. Pro-Palestinian protesters walked out of Jerry Seinfeld's commencement address at Duke University, and I think that's disgraceful. During these difficult times, it's important to support our Jewish friends. That's why the only chant you'll hear from me is "Free Weinstein." This week in court, Stormy Daniels gave a detailed description of sex with Donald Trump, which was so disgusting even the sky turned green. Stormy Daniels.
Actors Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were married this past weekend. It's nice for a couple to go into a marriage knowing it won't be the worst thing they've ever done together. A new device is being tested that sends farmers a text message when their dairy cows are in heat. Disturbingly, the text reads, "Hey, you up." People in New Zealand are waiting to see when the country's 4,444,444th person will be born, confirming my suspicion that living in New Zealand is exactly as interesting as staring at an odometer. Brad Pitt reportedly said this week that he would be interested in appearing in a Bollywood musical, then looked around at his kids and realized maybe he already was. This Monday marked the start of the annual Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, which is the busiest week of the year for New York City's dog prostitutes. Some parents in Massachusetts are upset with new fat letters being sent out by schools informing them that their children are obese, though they could have used gentler phrasing than, "Your kid's a wicked porker." North Korea on Wednesday launched a long-range rocket in defiance of international sanctions. No word on how Kim Jong-un celebrated the launch, but I would bet cake. Pennsylvania police arrested a woman who allegedly had hidden 36 glass vials of cocaine in her vagina. Police became suspicious when she walked by them, and it sounded like someone adjusting a chandelier. Big Bird left, right? A growing number of aging motorcycle enthusiasts are trading in their traditional two-wheel bikes for steadier and more comfortable trikes. It's a great way to tell the world, yes, I have a small penis, and no, it don't work so great. An Ohio woman who gave birth to her daughter at 12:12 p.m. on 12/12/12 has named her Forever, which I suspect is how long she'll be a stripper. CIA Director General David Petraeus resigned Friday after it was revealed he was having an affair with the woman who wrote his biography, All In. Of course, when they first started working on the book, it was called Just the Tip. A restaurant in Philadelphia has created a new taco that replaces the shell with slices of bacon. Of course, no matter how good it tastes, you're still in Philadelphia. Scientists in South Korea have confirmed that an elephant at a local zoo has the ability to reproduce 5 Korean words by tucking his trunk inside his mouth, though it's suspicious that the 5 words he can say are "help, this elephant swallowed me." During a concert concert in Canada this past weekend, Lady Gaga wore an assault rifle bra to show her support for gun control laws, and you thought you got nervous trying to unhook a regular bra. On Thursday, ESPN aired the 50,000th episode of SportsCenter. Of that day? A recent report shows that some companies hired to do background checks on new employees are costing people jobs because they're confusing applicants with criminals with the same names. It's just more bad news for out-of-work accountant O.J. Simpson. A New York man who dresses as Elmo in Times Square was arrested this week after allegedly going on an anti-Semitic rant. Though what's most shocking about this story is that there are people in those costumes and not, as I had assumed, 100 rats working together. This week changed their search engine algorithms and will now require people searching for online porn to be more specific in their requests, said porn enthusiasts. Oh, that's not a problem. It's going to be just fine. Pope Benedict this past Sunday tweeted in Latin for the first time in an effort to revive the ancient language, because when you're looking to revive a language, you turn to the place where people spell later with an 8. A new company has begun selling plaques for gravestones that contain QR codes, allowing visitors to the gravesite to scan the code and be sent to a web page about the deceased, though I don't think it's a good idea for the web page to have a comment section. It was reported that Al Pacino is in talks to play the late Penn State football coach Joe Paterno in a new movie. This will be Pacino's second film with the line, "Say hello to my little friend." NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said this week that the high quality of HD TV is hurting attendance at the games since the experience of watching at home is so good. Is it, though? Said guys with wives. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced this year's inductees, including Donna Summer, Public Enemy, and Rush. Who are those other two? Said fans of any one of those. A pregnant California woman has agreed to allow online voters to name her baby in exchange for $5,000, and I'm sure the fact that she made a little money will be a huge consolation to little fart loser Narwhal Jones. A 66-year-old Florida grandfather this week wrestled an alligator that tried to eat his dog. That story again, an old man and his dog were eaten by an alligator. A Virginia man was surprised when he went for a jog and an emu began following him. Even more surprising, it was following him in a car. A California farmer has begun powering his farm using leftover walnut shells. If you're wondering which farm it is, it's the one with no power. Doctors in the New York and New Jersey area are saying that there will be a 30% increase in the number of babies born this July who were conceived during the blackout caused by Hurricane Sandy. And then someday you can tell your child the story of how they only exist because your iPhone died. A professor at the University of New Mexico has developed a dissolvable mouth strip that can relieve the pain caused when a person burns the top of their mouth eating pizza. Finally, a scientific alternative to waiting a minute. Ann Romney has reportedly declined an offer to appear on this season's Dancing with the Stars. She's probably not a good fit for the show anyway, because I've heard of her. A man in China is claiming that his dog can successfully add figures that include fractions. Man, it was bad enough when our kids were only competing with Chinese children. The Russian Space Agency announced plans to send an unmanned spacecraft to the moon in 2015. Not only that, but it will be thrown there by a shirtless Vladimir Putin. A cat in Great Britain has been annoying its owner's neighbors by sneaking into their house through pet doors and stealing ladies' underwear. Said the neighbors, yeah, that guy didn't have a cat. DMV is banning drivers from having big smiles on their driver's license photos. Though I gotta wonder, was that a big problem at the New Jersey DMV? It's everything I ever thought it would be. In an effort to save the endangered cheetah, some zoos are pairing up cheetah cubs with puppies to teach them how to thrive while in captivity, which is the cutest thing you'll ever see, followed by the most horrifying thing you'll ever see. In a recent promotion, Mitt Romney is offering donors a chance to win a ride on his campaign plane. But if you know how Mitt Romney travels, this is one contest you don't want to win. Police in Philadelphia this past weekend were called to a hotel after guests from 2 different weddings got into a huge fight. Police calmed the brawlers by encouraging everyone to shout a little bit softer now.
A team of doctors will soon perform a surgery that uses muscle and skin from a man's arm to give him a new penis, which he was born without. And before the man with no penis goes into surgery, let me just say this. Good luck, Colin. Now that's not...
People Magazine's sexiest man alive is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Yeah. He once again beat his longtime rival, Dwayne "The Scissors" Johnson. I am so proud of that joke, by the way.
A woman on Long Island discovered a diamond ring inside of a glove while trying it on in a department store. And because it was Long Island, it was still attached to a finger.
A new report shows that half of the dogs in the U.S. are overweight, which explains why the most popular breed in America is the Type 2 Dire Beagle.
Trump has justified his use of Twitter, saying he'd tweet less if the press did their job better, or if his Ambien did its job better.
A man in Arizona is claiming that he can relieve sinus pressure in his nose by masturbating. He first made the claim while police were removing him from the bus. There's people that love Donald Trump so much that they're willing to overlook these allegations, and I can understand that. Look, I'm a huge fan of Michael Jackson because of Thriller and Off the Wall. But that doesn't mean I can't admit that he's done some terrible things, too. Like that Invincible album. Or that song he made with Eddie Murphy. What was that? It was almost as bad as that stuff he did to those kids.
It was announced that Idina Menzel will sing the national anthem at this year's Super Bowl. Then she'll sing Let It Go as a tribute to the NFL's domestic violence policy. In a speech this week, Hillary Clinton stressed the need for compromise in Washington, saying she hopes to lead the country into, quote, a warm purple space, which is the same line Grimace uses to get you into his windowless van.
A couple in Russia invited a bear to be a witness at their wedding. There were no survivors.
Golf Digest magazine has created a controversy over a new cover featuring 20-year-old golfer Lexi Thompson posing with only a towel covering her breasts. But before you call them sexist, they did the same thing last month with Arnold Palmer.
Dick Cheney criticized the Senate report on CIA interrogation methods as, quote, a bunch of hooey. Cheney also complained that the report's description of torture, quote, barely got me hard. So, like, if you go to your email, you could just, like, open it up. It's literally right in there.
Damn it. This is for a sick kid?
Yeah, very sick boy.
Okay, well, here goes. A McDonald's in China was criticized for posting a sign saying that black people were not allowed to enter, which is the same sign I'm going to hang on my daughter.
Oh my goodness. Whoa. The Blue Moon diamond, which sold at auction for $48 million, was bought by a billionaire for his 7-year-old daughter, which raises the disturbing question, did that guy cheat on his daughter? Pablo Picasso's Women of Algiers was sold for a record-setting $179 million. But I can get you a picture of lopsided titties for way less than that.
Johnny Depp this week criticized actors who become musicians, saying the whole idea makes him sick. Depp believes the only other thing an actor should become is a French scarf monster. An American woman set a new record by visiting every country in the world in 19 months. And after all that travel, she found the one thing that had been inside her all along: Zika. Just have it. A Massachusetts couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Brady, while an Atlanta couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Son of a Bitch.
I never understood why cops don't like us. We have so much in common with the police. We're both portrayed negatively on the news. You can hear our cars from blocks away. Everyone gets nervous when they think we're following them. We're the only two people I know who can hop a fence in boots. We both bring our guns to funerals. I can go on and on.
Thursday is Thanksgiving, and there's so much to be thankful for this year, unless you're a human woman.
I was really bad in love till you rise, yeah. Now I can see in color why I was great. Oh, yeah. You're where I was looking, and now if it's a looking, yeah. Believe that I was here.
His victory, Eric Adams will become New York's second black mayor, not to be confused with the New York mayor who blacks out.
A 96-year-old German woman who was a secretary at a Nazi concentration camp has been released from detention. She is now safely in the custody of her grandson.
And Grandma, if you're watching, go to bed. Starbucks announced that starting in 2019, it will block pornography websites over its Wi-Fi. It's a move they're calling Che's Law.
It's good law.
A new poll shows that New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's approval rating is now at an all-time low, coming in more than 10 points below Bon Jovi playing the new stuff. Still at an all-time high, though, his belt.
The group 1 Million Moms is boycotting the Hallmark Channel for airing a commercial featuring a same-sex couple getting married and kissing. Ladies, relax. If your kid is watching the Hallmark Channel, he already gay as hell.
A photo has gone viral of Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau showing off his yoga abilities, which explains why your aunt took her laptop into the bathroom. Not to be outdone, German Chancellor Angela Merkel released a photo of herself deadlifting a Volkswagen. President Trump called Justin Trudeau two-faced after the Canadian Prime Minister was caught making fun of Trump. And it's true, I've definitely seen Trudeau with at least one other face. Scientists are working to develop advanced ultra-black materials that are so dark they absorb 99% of all light. Oh, sure, but when I try to develop ultra-black material, I'm booed at the Apollo.
Donald Trump announced the launch of his own social media network he's calling Truth Social, but most people know it by its original name, the National Sex Offender Registry.
But I don't really understand how any of this is important, so I'm just going to treat this memo like every other memo I've received at work and completely ignore it. At this point, if you actually want to get my attention, the bar is set at porn star spanks president with magazine. This week marks the 65th anniversary of Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat on an Alabama bus. And I just wish that all black people could follow her example of sitting down and shutting up.
The Palm Beach mansion, once owned by Jeffrey Epstein, will soon be demolished. And I'm honestly shocked that they would demolish a place where I have so many fond memories. Rest in power, King. I'll take it from you. Senator Kirsten Sinema, who hates the attention, says she is opposed to raising taxes on the wealthy to pay for President Biden's agenda. Finally, someone speaking up for billionaires. Because it's so hard to hear them from space. The Paris Zoo was evacuated on Friday after dozens of baboons escaped their enclosure, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. In a recent study, scientists created 3D scans of dolphin vaginas and found that a dolphin's clitoris is remarkably similar to a human woman's. Said the night janitor at SeaWorld, "Well, I could have told you that."
NASA's rover Perseverance successfully landed on Mars and has started a Twitter account to send back updates. First it was, "I'm safe on Mars." Then collected first soil sample. And then, oh no, why is there no White History Month? I really figured out Twitter fast. Thousands of what are being called penis fish have washed up on the shore of a California beach. Not only that, one kid says he even found one in his mother's nightstand.
Royal experts are saying that Queen Elizabeth's health has entered a different phase and the public may not see her until February. So you know what that means. New titties. The makers of Aunt Jemima products, which have been criticized for using racist imagery, are finally changing the name to Pearl Milling Company. Pearl Milling is the name of the white lady who owned Aunt Jemima. A police officer in New York State is being called the baby whisperer after he helped deliver his 5th baby in 9 years. Only 5 babies in 9 years, said Nick Cannon.
Okay, there you are. Okay. A 10-year-old boy in Florida faces misdemeanor battery charges after he allegedly touched a teacher's breast. Because under Florida law, students are required to wait for their teacher to make the first move. The Los Angeles Zoo announced that Evelyn, a 46-year-old gorilla famous for her red hair, has been euthanized. Not because she was sick, but because it's LA and she was in her 40s. The World Health Organization is changing the name of monkeypox to mpox due to concerns that the original could be considered racist, which I didn't even really think was an issue, but now I'm just wondering, what's the N in N95?
After this year's election, a record-setting 12 states will have female governors, while the other 38 states will have dinner ready on time. France announced that it will start providing free condoms for people between the ages of 18 and 25. Cool. Now do deodorant.
Tomorrow is the New York City Marathon, or as Fox News will report it, undocumented Africans went wild in streets of New York.
A white student at the University of Kentucky was arrested after she was caught on video using a racial slur and assaulting 2 black students. She has been charged with 1 count of impersonating a police officer.
I don't know if you guys saw it today. Morocco beat Portugal in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. It is, it's the best World Cup performance by a team of Africans since the unpaid workers who built the stadiums. I didn't do it. In a speech yesterday, Herschel Walker called America the greatest country in the United States. But on the plus side, at least he has a general idea of where he is.
Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving was suspended after he tweeted a link to the anti-Semitic film Hebrew to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. You know, Hebrew to Negroes was also the name of my favorite R&B group in the 90s. This week marks the 40th anniversary of the classic Michael Jackson album Thriller. And say what you will about Michael Jackson, but he definitely had a huge effect on a lot of people's childhoods. I don't know what you guys like anymore.
The U.S. Air Force is denying that its pilots intentionally flew a flight path that created a giant penis pointed at Russia. Even worse, they then fired missiles.
Wednesday was National Coffee with a Cop Day, and something tells me cops like their coffee with a couple of shots in it.
The chief, well, you're not going to like this. The chief of the Cherokee Nation is calling on car maker Jeep to stop using the tribe's name on its vehicles. So Jeep has agreed to change the name to, wow, the Aunt Jemima Mobile.
A school in Virginia is returning a wallet to a woman 70 years after she lost it in the school gym. Well, how do you like that? Said a black man still in jail for stealing it.
A woman, oh, it's getting worse. A woman flying to Detroit said she woke up to a pastor urinating on her, which explains why her dream was about her being baptized.
Fisher-Price has launched an online museum showcasing its toys over the past 90 years. Or you can see them in person at America's most famous toy museum, the Neverland Ranch.
This week, there was a full moon known as the Beaver Moon, which can be seen about a month after a waxing moon.
That's a good joke. That's a good joke. Residents in Rome are upset after a wild boar and her 6 piglets were killed on a playground near the Vatican. But it's like they say, nothing good ever happens on a playground near the Vatican. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
One of Hugh Hefner's former girlfriends revealed that the Playboy Mansion is haunted. She knew it was haunted because if you turn on a black light, you see ectoplasm everywhere.
Officials in Colorado are searching for the man who was reportedly harassing a moose by chasing it down the street. Said the man, "I like my girls thick."
A Brazilian man had to undergo emergency surgery after he got a 4-pound dumbbell stuck in his anus. He then shoved it back up there and said, 2. Anyway, that's why you always wipe down the equipment.
An Arizona woman suffered more than 20 bee stings after a heavy wind blew a beehive onto her head. But tragically, no one filmed it.
And Hostess is unveiling new flavors of their snack cakes, including white fudge ding-dongs. Coincidentally, white fudge ding-dongs is what they call Weekend Update in China.
A new study finds that frogs in the rainforest have a higher pitch call than urban frogs. The study also finds that female frogs be shopping.
For the entire month of May, Applebee's is serving a margarita for $1 called the Dollarita, after which you're guaranteed to come down with a case of Dollaria.
A new study shows that people with a vegetarian diet may live longer. Okay, but for what?
A popular new trend in Los Angeles are party goats, which are goats that are brought to parties and jump on people's backs. Meanwhile, in China, a popular new trend is studying math and science.
Domino's is reducing the number of chicken wings included in their meals, and I really wish I'd known that before I had my delivery guy fired for stealing.
To be fair to Judge Kavanaugh, it's insane that he has to answer questions about his high school yearbook. If you looked into anyone's high school yearbook, you'd find something super embarrassing. Like, I regret that my senior quote was a Smash Mouth lyric, and I very much regret that my hairstyle was the Rachel. Planned Parenthood says it will soon open its first mobile abortion clinic in the country, which will make it easier to provide care to patients anywhere in the country that Herschel Walker has visited.
Police in Queens were searching for a suspect who hijacked a bus and then immediately crashed it into a utility pole. Okay, so we know it's a woman. Is that bad?
No, that's great.
Pebbles, who was the world's oldest living dog, has died at the age of 22. But it's okay. His owners knew this was coming if they didn't keep him off my yard. Police in Ohio say that a report of a homeless man sleeping on a bench turned out to be a statue, which was a huge relief because they shot it 15 times. Update, I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Well, zoo announced that a 14-year-old endangered chimpanzee named Naya is pregnant. Said the zoo's janitor, "She told me she was 18.
The wrong number was announced in this week's $86 million Mega Millions jackpot drawing, which is why I had to go into Lauren's office and unquit.
The makers of Barbie have introduced the first ever Barbie with hearing aids. It teaches an important lesson. It doesn't matter if you're deaf, as long as that body banging. The New York Times said it changed the answer from Monday's Wordle, which was fetus, because it was too closely connected to a major news story. Tough news for psychos whose first Wordle guess is always fetus.
Amazon announced that it will pay employees who have to travel to get an abortion up to $4,000 in expenses every year. The only catch is you got to do it during your 8-minute lunch break. There is renewed speculation about Vladimir Putin's health after he was photographed at a military parade with a heavy blanket across his lap. But hear me out, maybe the blanket is because thinking about war gets him hard as hell.
Well, if you feel like things are a little off this week, remember, yesterday was Friday the 13th. Tomorrow is a super blood moon. And according to the most annoying person you know, Mercury is in retrograde. Is it me, or does it every story this week sound like the opening voiceover in a Mad Max movie? The year is 2022. A virus rages across the planet. The U.S. government hit its debt limit on Thursday, and the country now risks defaulting on its bills. And look, we've all been there, you know. You spend too much because life's too short, then the bill comes due, the bank won't loan you money anymore. Then you have no choice. You have to buckle down, face the music, and blow up your Staten Island ferry for insurance money. What? Recently, tennis star Andy Murray was upset after an umpire at the Australian Open refused to let him take a bathroom break during a 5-set-long match. Worse, it was deuce.
Fishermen in Florida have discovered a 214-year-old clam that was born the same year as Abraham Lincoln. The clam credits his longevity to staying away from the theater. A California man has set a new world record by visiting Disneyland for 2,995 consecutive days, but still no sign of his kid. A new study... I tried to plow right through. A new study finds that married men live a longer, healthier life. Yeah, but for what?
As this year's awards season gets underway, there's growing movement to get rid of the gendered categories of Best Actor and Best Actress, and instead call them Best Actor and Best Actor who got paid less. House Republicans, concerned that China could use TikTok to illegally gather information on Americans, have voted for a bill that could ban the app nationwide. Replied TikTok users.
The U.S. Energy Department concluded that COVID likely originated from a Wuhan laboratory leak and not a wet market. So I gave up eating bats for nothing? Newspapers around the country dropped the cartoon strip Dilbert after creator Scott Adams said he chose to live in a community where no black people live. So he lives in your building, huh, Colin?
Cryptocurrency crashed this week with Bitcoin losing nearly half its value, and now it has to legally change its name to BitOcoin. In fact, the entire crypto market has lost over $1 trillion, but don't worry, you can make that money back fast as long as you've been hoarding baby formula. New York City officials say they have received over 7,000 rat sightings here in New York. So everybody, look under your seat. The Oklahoma City's
It was announced that a new disco-themed roller skating rink will open this summer in Central Park. Another classic 70s trend returning to the park this summer, stabbings. Apple announced that after 20 years, it will stop production of its iPod Touch because Apple products become obsolete once they're older than the kids who make them.
Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here watching a shelter dog get passed up for adoption. Led a congressional delegation for a surprise visit to Ukraine today. It's weird because usually when McConnell shows up by surprise, it's behind you in the bathroom mirror. The Biden classified document scandal and the Trump classified document scandal are very different, but they do share one big thing in common. They both make Hillary Clinton want to blow her goddamn brains out. It would have been so funny if they searched Biden's garage and he had Hillary's server.
It was reported that last year the population of China declined by 850,000 people, thanks to an increase in China's leading cause of death, protesting. China plans to reverse the population decline with an emergency import of Nick Cannon.
State senators said the bill will prevent kids from being, quote, blindsided by a sexualized performance in public. What are you talking about? Drag shows don't just pop up like flash mobs and sprinkle gay dust on your kids. I never accidentally happened upon a drag show, and I grew up in New York City. Now, I have been blindsided by a sexualized performance a few times, but that's just what you get when you take the bus.
It's really sad, man. Yeah. It's really sad.
A new trend among younger workers is Bare Minimum Monday, in which they do as little as possible on the first day of the work week, while a new trend among World War II veterans is realizing their sacrifice meant nothing. Biologists in Florida are warning that the Jesus Christ lizard, named for its ability to run on water, could spread harmful diseases to humans. They hope to control the population by introducing a Pontius Pilate lizard.
That's sweet.
It was reported that the James Bond books are being rewritten to remove offensive material. So the character Pussy Galore will now be called Cooter Aplenty. This week, South Carolina attorney Alex Murdaugh was found guilty of murder and also found guilty of looking like Will Ferrell dressed as Conan O'Brien.
The House Ethics Committee has announced an investigation into George Santos. Well, thank God I'm not George Santos, said George Santos. Donald Trump accused Ron DeSantis of wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare and called the Florida governor a wheelchair-over-the-cliff kind of guy. Wheelchair over the cliff is also how Melania will finally get rid of him.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee has signed a new law banning public drag performances with a 6-year prison sentence for repeat offenders. As first predicted in the now documentary, Medea Goes to Jail. A Tennessee state digital money has collapsed. Infants have nothing to eat. Women are forced to breed. Men are ready to die for gasoline. And we suffer under the leadership of the one known only as Joe. Kevin Spacey.
Spacey will star in a historical drama about Genghis Khan's grandson. Said Spacey, you had me at grandson.
Well, guys, this is just in. The winner of this year's Eurovision Song Contest is Kalush Orchestra, a group from Ukraine. And this is cool. If you combine every member of Kalush Orchestra, you get Post Malone. The Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. has been sold for a reported $375 million. Well, I wouldn't say reported, said the IRS. A member of the punk rock group Pussy Riot, which has long protested Vladimir Putin, revealed that she fled the country disguised as a food delivery worker, which explains this notification from DoorDash.
You know, this baby formula shortage is scary. I mean, babies are very sensitive. You can't just feed them anything. I once tried to give my little nephew something different than his usual formula, and he nearly choked on that hot wing bone. The January 6th committee has subpoenaed 5 sitting Republican congressmen after they refused to testify voluntarily. Said the Republican congressman, you can't force us to do anything. We're not pregnant. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has proposed a new policy permanently banning mask mandates and vaccine requirements, saying, when the world lost its mind, Florida was a refuge of sanity. Then everyone in the crowd took a hit of nitrous and bit a cop. Donald Trump responded to reports that Ron DeSantis will run against him for the Republican nomination, saying, we'll handle this the way I handle things. So rough and without consent. A Catholic nun in France, who was believed to be the oldest person in the world, has died at the age of 118. Her cause of death was listed as answered prayer. You never know, Colin.
Some owners of McDonald's franchises are reportedly concerned about a campaign partnership with Cardi B, especially the ad where they claim their burgers have a wet-ass patty.
Oh. A porn star in Australia revealed that while recently filming a new movie, he broke his penis and said it... This is really sad, ma'am. He broke his penis and said it went completely black, which, you know, means it's never going back. The man has adjusted to his new black penis by filming all his sex scenes in Timberlands. A man in Missouri is planning to turn an abandoned jail into an Airbnb rental, which will make it the first jail that refuses to accept black people. It was announced that Puerto Rico's only zoo is closing after years of alleged animal neglect. Worse, the zoo is closing is being advertised as all you can eat. That's how he really dances, too. First Lady Jill Biden said in an interview that she maintains a good balance in the types of advice she offers President Biden, but it's mostly hold on to the railing.
No. Newspapers dropped the cartoon strip effective immediately, and to rub it in, they're replacing Dilbert with Peanuts' Oops All Franklin. Dilbert creator Scott Adams' racist rant was in response to the results of a poll that asked respondents the question, is it okay to be white? Oh, I'd say it's more than just okay. One of Hugh Hefner's former girlfriends revealed that the Playboy Mansion is haunted. She knew it was haunted because if you turn on a black light, you see ectoplasm everywhere.
Scientists have trained a goldfish to drive a car. They believe it's the first step to eventually training women.
M&M's announced that they've redesigned their iconic M&M characters after people requested that the brown M&M not look like a teacher who has sex with her students.
The record for the world's oldest dog has been broken by a 21-year-old Chihuahua named Timothy Chalamet.
Disneyland's Snow White ride is being criticized because Prince Charming kisses Snow White without her consent while she's asleep, which still isn't as bad as Universal Studios' new Cosby the Ride.
O.J. Simpson's new fitness video was released this week, and hitting the shelves next week, Simpson's newest video, Dorf on Stalking.
Apple announced that after 20 years, it will stop production of its iPod Touch because Apple products become obsolete once they're older than the kids who make them.
This week, Britain's most eligible bachelor, Prince Andrew, officially deleted his Twitter account after he realized that's not the app with all the dancing teenagers.
The head of Chicago's police union is urging officers to defy the city's vaccine mandate, which is weird because usually Chicago police can't wait to take the shot. Walmart.
A professional golfer in Florida was arrested after he tried to meet a 15-year-old girl he met online who turned out to be a detective. Said the golfer, "Mulligan?"
Come on, man.
Sadly, there's more. For those of you wondering, in golf terms, a 15-year-old is 3 under par.
And the Pope came out with a book this week, which contains a series of essays examining faith and morality in today's secular world and the changing role of the Catholic Church as it approaches the 21st century. The book is entitled, "God Himself Told Me That O.J. is Guilty."
You know, as a man, there's no way I can understand the full impact of this issue, but I asked a bunch of women around the office what their personal experience was with abortion, and I got to admit, I learned a lot from the HR meeting they made me go to as a result. Doctors say that a man who came into an emergency room complaining about chest pains had a 10-centimeter chunk of cement lodged in his heart. Wow, anyways, he's dead.
2 Barbie dolls were launched into space for the first time ever aboard the International Space Station. Finally, they're gone, said 2 Ken dolls.
A charter plane service in Las Vegas is offering people rides to nowhere so they can have sex in the air. Oh, fun, said a polar bear in 60-degree weather. These are some dark jokes, man.
In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. That's probably...
A bat used by Jackie Robinson was sold at auction for more than $1 million. The bat is considered to be so valuable because Robinson used it as an all-star game and also to get back to his car safely.
Delta Airlines has introduced a new plane that features windows in the bathrooms. Unfortunately, they face into the cabin.
The population of Los Angeles has fallen for the 3rd straight year. Well, it's like Colin always says, LA is just not the same without Harvey. You always say it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's cool. The Rolling Stones announced they will no longer play their 1971 song Brown Sugar, which is about having sex with a slave. Something I wish I'd realized before I chose it at karaoke.
Singer R. Kelly was found guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking this week, but won't be sentenced until next May, after R. Kelly's lawyers successfully negotiated one more school year.
A Brazilian man had to undergo emergency surgery after he got a 4-pound dumbbell stuck in his anus. He then shoved it back up there and said, 2. Anyway, that's why you always wipe down the equipment.
Well, let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do.
A new report shows that female doctors over the course of their careers make $2 million less than men. Oh, that's just not right. I mean, female doctors?
A British woman discovered when she got pregnant that she had a second tiny vagina. Yeah, da butt.
A British woman was shocked when she discovered a 4-foot-long python in her toilet. But hey, that's Indian food for you.
You wish you could go back to the Grand Canyon joke, yeah.
Well, O.J. Simpson's lawyers stopped feuding this week, finally. The Dream Team, F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro, were able to put aside their differences and express their admiration for each other after O.J. threatened to cut their heads off.
Senator Mitch McConnell, seen here learning that Betty White has died, warned President Biden not to outsource his choice for the Supreme Court to the, quote, radical left. Coincidentally, a radical left is also what McConnell takes to purposely run over stray dogs.
Lego has announced the release of its largest set ever, a 9,000-piece replica of the Titanic. Unfortunately, hundreds of those pieces are just frozen Irishmen.
An 81-year-old pharmacist in Pennsylvania was arrested for allegedly trading drugs for sexual favors. Wow, so he's a pharmacist now. Oh, that's good.
O.J.'s pal Al Cowlings now has a 1-900 number. For $2.99 a minute, Cowlings will tell callers that O.J. is innocent. And for $3.99 a minute, he'll try to do it without laughing.
That played Seabiscuit in the 2003 film has died at the age of 24. So let's pour one out for a legend. Go to bed. I don't know.
A TikTok went viral of a squirrel that appeared to be holding hands with a woman. See, it's like Che always says, gay marriage is a slippery slope.
Classic. A 220-carat diamond known as the Rock will become the largest white diamond ever auctioned off. Wow, 220 carats. I mean, can you imagine the size of the child who mined that? It's huge, man.
Happy Mother's Day.
Do a split screen of Colin and Stephen Miller for 1 second.
You don't have to do that.
Okay, now, audience, by a round of applause, who do you think Hitler would want to be friends with? Stephen Miller or Colin Nixon Joseph?
My middle name. You just stop. Just have it. A Massachusetts couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Brady, while an Atlanta couple whose son was born during the Super Bowl has named him Son of a Bitch. Valentine's Day is right around the corner.
After the U.S. ban on Russian oil, gas prices hit a record high of $4.30 a gallon, which is so expensive that America, we might have to move back in with our ex. Come on, Iraq. You know we never stop loving you, baby.
Many doctors are saying that they have a hard time convincing their black patients to agree to take the COVID vaccine. Well, maybe they should try telling them it makes you immune from paying child support.
Whoa. That's pretty racist, Colin.
The bat used by Babe Ruth to hit his 500th home run was auctioned off this week. Also, I'll be auctioning off the bat I used to keep my neighborhood white.
Experts are saying that Cape Town, South Africa will completely run out of water on April 12th. Meanwhile, in the rest of the world, Molly Schuyler has set a new world record at this year's Wing Bowl by eating 501 wings, breaking the previous record of 28. Molly will be using the prize money to soundproof her bathroom. Kamala Harris will become the first vice president to be featured as a wax figure at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, while Joe Biden is the first wax figure to become president. Percent of people eat on their chocolate Easter bunnies are the ears, while the rest are like me and go straight for that butt. Oh boy, a 102-year-old woman from New York who survived the 1918 Spanish flu has now beat coronavirus twice, but sadly she was no match for my car. Studies, men who have had COVID can experience erectile dysfunction, and some have even reported a decrease in the size of their penis. Now that's how you sell some masks. I mean, Fauci, you want people to get vaccinated, you need to run with this. Forget stop the spread, it should be stop the shrink.
Okay. A church in Massachusetts has created a nativity scene that comments on the immigration debate by placing the baby Jesus in a cage, where he belongs.
But blue lives matter even more. Oh,
Really nice of you.
okay.
Problem solved. Nothing says I understand the gravity of the situation like a billionaire tossing 6 rolls of paper towels to hurricane victims. New report has selected the fittest city in the country to be Arlington, Virginia, while the least fit city in the country was once again Man Boobs, Louisiana.
You feel guilty?
Many conservatives in Texas are falsely blaming the state's power outages on renewable energy sources, while other conservatives think that the power outages are more likely the result of gay marriage. Oh, God. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, for the first time, denied months-old rumors that he had died and been replaced by a look-alike from Sudan. See, even Africans can't tell black people apart. 20-million-year-old petrified wood on the Greek island of Lesbos. They knew it was from Lesbos because it's double-ended.
Oh,